The Alabama Farmers Federation and the Alabama Farmers Cooperative proudly present Simply Southern with your hosts Jim Allen and Mary Johns.
Hello and welcome to Simply Southern. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. Most farmers will tell you they couldn't do their job without their faith. Today on Simply Southern, we'll meet a farmer who not only walks the walk and talks the talk, he sings the songs.
Our whole goal as a ministry is to be that witness to Christ.
Alabama turns 200 years old next year, and in anticipation of the milestone, the Bicentennial Commission is preparing teachers to share lessons about the state's history. Today we visit a teacher workshop based on the Longleaf Pine.
It's important for our students to understand that they should have pride in their state.
Sidney Phelps of Bonnie Plants is in the kitchen this week, showing you a neat way to make eggplant more appetizing for your kids.
But when we return, we'll take a tour of a restaurant that's been in business for so long it's been declared an Alabama landmark.
What sustains us? Food? Family? Faith. Alabama farmers live those things every day. They conserve our resources, clothe our families, and fill our tables. They cultivate jobs for our communities and values for our future. Farmers grow it all right here in Alabama.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
A lot has happened in the past 111 years. 2 world wars have been fought, we survived a Great Depression, and eventually landed a man on the moon. One little restaurant in Bessemer has opened its doors through it all, still hanging on to a reputation for small town style friendly service with fine dining fit for the big city. I wonder way back in 1907 if Mr. Tom Bonduras thought his brand new restaurant would still be taking reservations in a new millennium. Because 111 years later, the bright star is still shining on the Bessemer Street corner it's occupied since Model Ts and horse buggies were jostling for parking space.
Mr. Bonduras started the restaurant, Tom Bonduras, in 1907. And then in 1925, he was ready to retire. And what he did was he brought his 4 nephews from Greece. So one of the nephews was Bill Koikis, who is Mr. Jimmy and Mr. Nicky's father, and Pete Koikis, who is their uncle. So it's been in Bessemer, Alabama here for 111 years now. We are recognized by the state as the oldest restaurant in Alabama.
Over the years, this cheerful neon sign has been a beacon for seekers of fine dining and service with a smile.
You know, it's like being in a museum. If you walk in here, there's so much history here.
Photos covering the walls offer a look back at the restaurant through the decades. But a lot about the old star hasn't changed a bit. The main dining room has recently been restored back to its original look. The wood, marble, and intricate tiled floors probably don't look too different now than they did when the restaurant opened its doors. Also recently returned to the walls are a series of hand-painted murals that even some of the veteran staff had never seen.
We did not know they were there because there was cigarette smoke back in the olden days and shellac and all that. They're beautiful. They take your breath away.
We were referred to an art restoration specialist, Mr. John Bertalum. The murals were covered in minwax. We got the recipe for minwax and developed a solution to counteract the minwax without damaging the painting. And now they look just like they did in 1915 when the restaurant first opened.
And then there's the food. I'm telling you folks, the sign's not the only star in this place.
The Greek snapper has been on the menu, I think, probably since the 30s. And then our fried shrimp is also one of our most popular dishes. The main staples have stayed, but you know, some of the other stuff, as people change, the menu evolves with the people.
Living in Washington, D.C. and working in New York and Chicago, one of my apprehensions I came back here was, where am I going to eat at? And one of the best reasons I can say coming here would be the guarantee is the best fish in town. I never had a bad piece of fish here in the last 20 years.
All of this history, charm, and good food have made the Bright Star a destination spot over the years, even attracted some pretty well-known guests.
Mr. Jimmy answered the phone one night, and somebody said, I want a private table with a TV. And Mr. Jimmy said, who are you calling here asking for a TV? We don't have TVs. I said, well, it's Coach Bryant. He said, yes, sir, you will have it. And Mr. Jimmy jumped in his car and drove down the street to his mother's house and took her TV off the stand and came here and got it set up for Coach Bryant so he could watch Joe Namath on Monday Night Football.
I think it's scientifically proven that Jim Allen is about as far from a celebrity as a boy can get. So let me assure you, folks, when you dine in at Alabama's oldest restaurant, no matter who you are, you're a star.
I like to go where somebody recognizes me, and I know the quality you're going to get here. This is why I eat here 2 or 3 nights a week.
Every day I hear that. You know, I've been coming here 20 years. I've been coming here 70 years. For me, it's a fantastic opportunity to be a part of this legendary restaurant. It is something that, you know, most people will never dream of accomplishing.
Mary, I could hurt myself on that Greek snapper. But if you're more into turf than surf, the Alabama Cattlemen's Association previously awarded their Greek-style steak as the best in the state.
And I hear that they have some pies there that are pretty special too.
Everything in there is good.
So worth the drive to Bessemer. When we return, we'll see how teachers are learning about the history of our state thanks to the Alabama Bicentennial Commission.
The versatile peanut, meat of the earth, friend of the soil, tasty, nutritious, packed with protein. And Alabama peanut farmers nourish some very special things: families, communities, and Alabama's economy. Peanuts. Good for you, good for Alabama.
Who drives your car? An athlete? A rocker? A dreamer? A survivor? A best friend? Alpha Insurance. As individual as you are.
Ugly brush piles cluttering your property? Introducing the all-new DR Chippers, now starting at an unbelievably low price. Chew up big branches that come down in storms and all the trimmings from your yard and garden. The new DR Chipper, now starting at just $699.99.
For a free buyer's guide and DVD, call 1-800-422-0482. Special pricing and free shipping are now in effect. Online at drchipper.com.
A farmer has to live on faith. We do all we can do, but we can only control so much.
Alabama is the second largest poultry growing state in the nation, so we're trying our best to grow all the corn we can for that.
What we produce not only feeds and clothes all of the United States, but about half of what we make goes on to the world market.
We've been able to improve yields, have some things that can help us produce a better crop. I'm proud of the product we make and proud that I can say I'm an Alabama farmer.
The Alabama Bicentennial Commission is making sure everyone's ready to commemorate the statehood anniversary in December 2019. One of the Commission's flagship programs is its Summer Institutes, various teacher workshops that provide classroom resources centered around the things that make Alabama unique. And in the Wiregrass, teachers are learning all about the legendary Longleaf Pines that once towered over much of Alabama's landscape. Alabama boasts a lot of unique landscapes, but little about the state's geography is more quintessentially southern than its longleaf pine forests. These towering evergreens once covered 90 million acres from Virginia to Texas. Now just under 3.5 million acres remain. The scarcity of this resource was the motivation behind making Longleaf the topic of a week-long Bicentennial Summer Institute, targeted at training 3rd through 5th grade teachers.
Yesterday we did a lot of activities with primary sources and how to use those in the elementary classroom, and then just different ways to bring history alive. And then today, day 2, we're kind of narrowing our focus in on our place, and we're spending the day in the forest and learning about the forest and the ecosystem here. Tomorrow is all about literature in the content area. Day 4, the participants will be planning their turnaround training, so they'll each be tasked with going back to their own school and presenting materials about the Bicentennial to their faculty.
Participating educators receive stacks of books and lesson plans centered around the Longleaf Pine, and most of those resources didn't exist a few decades ago.
There was a whole table full of classroom materials on the tropical rainforest and another collection on redwood forest. And it occurred to me, I said, the longleaf is a much more critically endangered ecosystem. And it's right here in our backyard. Why don't we get her materials on longleaf? I looked around and there were none. There were none.
Johnson worked with his peers to create resources to fill the void, and Southern authors like Renee Rainey wrote books that captured magical and whimsical features of the forests.
She wrote a novel called Hairy, Scary, but Mostly Merry Fairies, and its subtitle is Curing Nature Deficiency in Children. And so she has a wonderful presentation that she does with students and teachers, just taking them out into the forest, gathering natural materials to build fairy houses and just reignite the imagination in our children and get them outside and active.
Along with example fairy houses, workshop participants were surrounded by interactive classroom projects, from timelines to habitat drawings.
It's not just looking around from the outside, you're not just sitting down. You're doing projects that you're going to take back to your students, so you're pretending you're the student. Don't let adults fool you. They like hands-on learning just as much as elementary kids because it makes it come to life.
Salamander.
And there were plenty of lively, hands-on learning opportunities as wildlife biologists introduced teachers to the creatures of the longleaf forest, including frogs, legless lizards, and a few snakes. For me, it was also a lesson in building courage, but holding the black pine snake and the eastern indigo snake wasn't as bad as I'd feared. Now, when it came to the noisy eastern diamondback, well, we weren't quite as interested in being hands-on. Outdoor excursions included trips to view woodpecker habitat and to spy on gopher tortoises using the newest equipment and technology. While the workshop was a fun and inspirational week in the forest, the greater goal was to instill teachers with a passion for sharing lessons about the rich history Alabama has experienced in its 200 years.
It's important for our students to understand that they should have pride in their state. And so learning from either the mistakes or the great things that Alabama has done will make them better for the future and for their kids.
The summer teacher workshops started in 2017, and they'll be offered again in 2019.
And they cover a large range of topics, anything from the Civil War to civil rights and even Alabama's contributions to space exploration.
They'll have the schedule finalized before the end of the 2018-2019 school year, so anybody that is interested can just go to alabama200.org and find out more. Up next on Simply Southern, you'll meet a farmer who is living his faith and sharing it with anyone who will listen.
One out of 4 Alabama residents have benefited from the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. Last year, Master Gardener Managed Gardens donated $150,000 worth of fruits and vegetables to food banks, and over 25,000 young people developed math, science, technology, and engineering skills through 4-H. Now what we want to know is, how can we help you?
Soybean is a very versatile product. We make crayons out of it.
A lot of the combines you see rolling through the fields
have a lot of plastic side panels that are made from a soy product.
The soybeans that we grow on our farm mostly goes into chicken feed.
Soybean production in Alabama employs over 10,000 people.
We grow some of the best soybeans in the world.
We go the extra mile to make sure when our name is stamped on it, we know it's the best product we can produce.
Being a catfish farmer to me means carrying on a legacy that my father started about 35 years ago. It's a good way to take care of the land and provide a nutritious product for people all over the world. My name is Mary Quitman Helms. My sister, my father, and I own this farm, Lawson Catfish Farm, in Perry County, Alabama.
Mark Byrd makes his living raising chickens and row crops on his family's Morgan County farm. But his true calling in life is sharing his faith, and he's particularly effective as the bass singer in the gospel group Living Faith. Kevin Worthington introduces us to the man and his mission.
Outside of Nashville, you don't often see a tour bus parked next to a tractor. But these two vehicles are something of a metaphor for Mark Byrd's life. The tractor represents his Monday to Friday job as a farmer, raising chickens, cattle, and row crops with his wife Sandy and their two sons on a farm between Decatur and Coleman.
We've been here since 1993, and we've got 7 poultry houses, and we've got a row crop operation. We're farming about 2,000 acres, and it's a rotation of corn, soybeans, and wheat. And we half plant cotton. We probably will plant some more cotton at some point. We've got 150 head of cattle.
Mark and Sandy started farming in 1993. Although he didn't grow up on a farm, Mark's family did attend church regularly. In addition to growing in his faith, Mark discovered a passion and a talent for singing.
I was raised in a little Methodist church, and I can remember our song director back then, you know, and we had the old hymn books that he'd get out, and believe it or not, when I was young, I sang tenor. So puberty kind of put me in a different class of song, you know, but it just goes all the way back to when I was a little kid. You know, I was raised in church, and I've been singing on stage and either with a hymn book in front of me or with a mic in front of me for a long time.
Mark joined his first gospel group in 1989 and sang with them for about 5 years. But he says his ministry of music really took off when he joined Living Faith a few years later. Since then, they've recorded 5 CDs and released their first single earlier this year.
I see Jesus, and he's saying, welcome home.
So I see Jesus. That's the one that's on radio. And I love the song. They sent the demo to us, and I sat there with my headphones on in the recliner listening to the demo. And the first time I listened to it, sounded cool. It sounded like a good song. Then I listened to it again, and I listened to the words a little bit better that time. And then I listened to it again, and man, it got to where I couldn't listen to it. It was so good. But there's a great message in that song.
Many radio stations around the Southeast are playing the song, and it's available on iTunes for just 99 cents. Mark says they hope the popularity of the song will provide more opportunities for them to perform. And thanks to that new tour bus, Mark, Rodney James, Nathan James, and Mary Mooney can comfortably travel across much of the eastern United States, sharing the good news of salvation. But Mark's quick to point out that Living Faith is about a lot more than entertainment.
Our whole goal as a ministry is to be that witness for Christ. And although our ministry is fun to us, you know, there's a greater calling for our ministry, and that's to spread the good word of Jesus. And so when we see people change, we see lives change, that's the fuel for our souls. That's why we know that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
While the bright lights of the stage may seem a long way from the bright sun of an Alabama summer day, Mark says faith is the common thread that connects his music ministry with his vocation of farming.
To plant a crop, to plant corn, to plant soybeans, wheat, whatever you do to put money in the ground, it takes faith to know that there's going to be a harvest out of that. And it's the same way with what we do in our ministry. You know, we're planting seeds, and we're expecting a harvest from that. We may not see it, but we're planting the seeds for what we do.
For Simply Southern, I'm Kevin Worthington.
The group's first single is now available online. You can find it in the iTunes store, and it's just 99 cents.
And they perform all over North Alabama. Go to Facebook and search for Living Faith Coleman to find out where you can see them live. Up next on Simply Southern, Sidney Phelps of Bonnie Plants has the oven all warmed up to show you how you can make eggplant one of your kids' favorite meals.
There's nothing quite like sitting down to a home-cooked meal with fresh vegetables from the garden. With Bonnie Plants from your local quality co-op store, you can enjoy the freshest vegetables right from your own backyard. And no matter if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, your quality co-op store has exactly what you need to get the most out of your plants. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
What we eat, what we wear. It all starts somewhere. And if it's good, it usually starts with a farmer. And that somewhere is right here in Alabama. In a field, in a barn, on a tractor. Right now, there's a farmer starting something good for all of us. And it all starts right here in Alabama.
FFA makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education.
We're strengthening American agriculture and providing our members with the skills needed to build healthy local communities, a strong nation, and a sustainable world.
We are the next generation of agriculture.
It's our turn now.
Let's show the world what we can achieve together.
We are FFA.
For more Simply Southern, be sure to follow us on social media. And while you're online, visit our website, simplysouthern.tv.net. Simply Southern will continue in a moment.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie Plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Hey folks, Sidney Phelps here with Bonnie Plants. Today we're in the kitchen, but we're doing something for the kids, and it's a way to get them interested in vegetables and have a little bit of fun in the kitchen. So today we're gonna make pizza, but not your normal ordinary pizza. So what we've got is we've got baby eggplants here, and you can pick these, or you can harvest Black Beauty eggplants early, but you want a globe style eggplant. So this right here is basically a small Black Beauty eggplant, and what we wanna do is we wanna just basically take it, we wanna cut the end of it off, we want to cut the cap of it off, and then we want to make slices about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. Make sure you're uniform whenever you're doing this because you want to make sure that you've got the same consistency thickness, that way everything cooks evenly. So first thing we want to do is we want to take some olive oil here, and this is just extra virgin olive oil. I'm just going to dip my fingers in here and rub it across. Get that set up. These are fresh. Eggplant can sometimes get bitter whenever they are older, so if you're picking off the smaller ones, you don't have to worry about it, but to save it from getting bitter, especially after you cut it, putting some coarse sea salt on it always works, and we're going to do that here in just a few. But we're basically just taking the edges and we're adding the olive oil, and we're going to get this started here. I've got the oven preheated to 400 degrees, and we're going to throw that on there. So now I'm just going to take sea salt and sprinkle it over top. And this is just kind of draw out some bitterness. If you've got older eggplants, the thing that you want to do is you want to put the sea salt on first, put on a wet paper towel, let it set up, and what that's going to do is it's going to draw out any bitterness from that. But if you're picking fresh off of the vine and you've got a young eggplant, this is going to be an easier way where you can just slice it, put a little bit of salt, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use just Italian seasoning. So this is a garlic herb mix that I like to use, and it's just really simple. Just going to sprinkle that right on top of it. You want to get it pretty thick. As far as the consistency, this is going to be our pizza dough. So the eggplant is going to serve as a pizza dough, so the kids can get this in there. This is going to give them that good garlic flavor that they're used to seeing and tasting whenever they're having pizza. So put that on there. Like I said, the oven is preheated to 400 degrees, so we're going to throw this in there for about 15 minutes. You don't want to get them too overcooked or too mushy, but we're going to let them sit in there for about 10 to 15 minutes, pull them back out, and we're going to top them with all the goods for the pizza. All right, so we have got our eggplant out. They're not too mushy. They've been there for about 10 to 15 minutes. We've got a good color on them. You can see the moisture starting to come up. And now basically what we're gonna do is just start making a pizza like we would any other time. So I've got some pizza sauce here, and we're just gonna take it and we're gonna lay it over the top of the eggplants. So just a good portion. And these are kind of like, you know, little mini pizzas that you would get, or the mini bagel bite style stuff, except you're using eggplant. So it's just a good way to get kids involved and get excited about using their garden. It's unique things that they can have, you know, whenever they're around, or can do all that. So a little short on pizza sauce, but no problem there. So set that to the side. What's coming up, we got shredded mozzarella cheese. Just gonna put that over top. Get that on all of them. And, you know, let the kids have fun and be creative with this. They can add whatever they're looking for to that. We're gonna put the mozzarella on the rest of them here. Now, once we get everything set up and get them all decorated, we're gonna throw them back in the oven. And basically what you wanna do there is just put them on a broil. Let them broil for about 5 minutes or so. One little piece of pepperoni to each will be just fine. Do that, put them on a broil, let everything get nice and crispy, pull them out of the oven, and it's something that your kids can have, a little bite-sized snack that's healthy for them to have at home. So if you like this recipe, check it out at bonnieplants.com or the app Homegrown with Bonnie Plants.
BonniePlants.com has additional recipes, as well as being your one-stop shop for all things gardening. If you have a question for Sidney, email him at simplysouthern@alifarm.com, and he may answer it on an upcoming show.
Thanks for watching Simply Southern today, but it's time for us to run. Make plans now to join us again next week when we'll visit an Old West style saloon that is quite literally a hole in the wall.
We'll also show you why Muscle Shoals, Alabama is a critical component in the battle against world hunger. Thanks for watching Simply Southern today. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. We'll see you again next week.
Simply Southern is a production of the Alabama Farmers Cooperative and the Alabama Farmers Federation.